Hello one, hello all, welcome. I don't know whose channel this is going on, Luke, but I guess both of
Both.
ours. Yeah,
Both.
so
We'll both try and milk some mileage out of it.
so you go ahead and say hello, and then
Hello.
the last time you joined us on a commentary, we were watching a Star Wars movie, Rogue
Yeah.
One. We both now have it on Blu-ray. Excuse me, we both now have Last Jedi on Blu-ray. So
Yes.
why not same song and dance all over again?
Yeah. There's a couple of things to talk about. Maybe. I mean, this film just slipped under the radar. People either liked it, they didn't like it, and left it at that. Really, it's
Yeah, not that big a deal. Just came
and
and
we're
went.
not we're not talking petitions. You know what I mean? That'd be crazy.
Yeah. So before we go into it, on your what is this? Your 10th, 11th, 15th? What viewing is this for you?
I think it would be the 11th. Yeah. This viewing goes to 11 because I think I saw it 8 times in the cinema, and I watched it with a commentary, and then I watched it with my friends. So yeah,
Wow.
11th. Yeah.
Wow. All right. So you're pretty well warm with this.
Yep.
I think this is my third viewing.
Oh, I thought it might have been your fourth.
It could be. It could be. It's quite possible. So yeah, we could talk about it during the slow parts, but we're on all zeros on the Blu-ray.
Yep.
Hit play. You want to count it down there?
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
And we're going. Lucasfilm.
Doesn't quite feel the same without the fanfare still. I probably mentioned that in the last one.
That 20th Century Fox is a little odd. I'll tell you what, watching this movie, especially without the music, is really, it's kind of jarring because the music really, it's something special in this movie.
I agree. I remember when I first sat down. No, was it this one? No, it was Force Awakens I was thinking of, when it says Luke Skywalker has vanished or something. And that got me really amped up, but apparently that was the 7, not this one.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, you last saw us 10 minutes ago.
I remember wondering how they do this. Like, would they literally cut back to that scene and then just pan down to the island? Just like... But this makes perfect sense, the way they do it.
Sure. The resistance has been exposed.
I saw, and I'm sure we're going to get into this big time. It's an easy well to go to, but some of the complaints, someone saying that, how come the resistance didn't have enough fuel to outrun the First Order? Why didn't they stock up before they left? Because they got ambushed. They leave it, like they literally make a point to say, leave the weapons. There's no time.
Yeah, it is really strange if these traditionalists that hate both The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. I refuse to listen to their logic, because the main gripe was Force Awakens was too samey, and
this shot in 4DX was incredible.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like all the things going off around your head and stuff. Yeah. It's kind of cool that their kids got to be in the movie. Carrie Fisher's daughter there, and Mark Hamill's kids are at the end. Nice little family connection. Do you know who this guy is?
No, no, the guy who just delivered a line to Domhnall Gleeson? No.
Yeah, Adrian Edmondson. He's a comedian, British comedian, and heard of The Young Ones?
I've heard of it, yeah.
And Bottom, like
oh yeah, Bottom, jeez.
Yeah.
A dreadnought.
Because that's different to a Star Destroyer. What do you make of him in the film, Donald Gleason?
I enjoy him.
He camps it up a bit more in this one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the bright spot of the prequels is just how campy. Well, actually, the bright spot of Episode 3 is just how campy Palpatine is. So, you know,
right? Yeah.
Come on, like they're fighting wars in space, for fuck's sake. You got to have some sort of like.
Yeah.
How serious do you want this to be?
I think this is the most controversial. Well, not there. Yeah, probably maybe one of the most controversial jokes of the film.
Yeah,
just the tone of it.
Mm-hmm. I can understand a gripe with it. I really can.
Yeah, me too.
It's a bit much. It's it's like Harrison Ford. We're all fine here. How are you? Except like magnified and deep fried.
I like it. Don't love it, but it's one of the few things I can say. Yeah, I can see why that might rub you the wrong way.
Right. It's the only thing I would say is why is almost our first bit of dialogue this like shtick here? Like,
yeah,
you could have led into this a little bit.
I think the rationale is just how dark things get, and just from the get-go, it's like, okay, we're gonna have some fun here too. It's not gonna be all. But it is, yeah. And one of the things I heard people say was, "Oh, it's Marvel humor." I'm thinking, well, Marvel haven't really copyrighted that style, but okay. But that just ties in with the whole Disney, I don't know, conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I really haven't. It's frustrating watching this without exploring the surround sound on it.
Right, yeah.
It's got to be incredible.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine. But
I mean, if you saw it in 4DX, I mean,
right, yeah.
And then some.
Yeah, they fire off these little like bursts of air behind both your ears.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool. Like in a minute when he comes up and he takes out a TIE fighter on the left and right, so
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that that's what movies are probably going to become.
What do you mean?
Well, as far as the cinematic experience is concerned, I mean, what you can't watch a Linkletter film in 4DX, so like. Ooh.
I love the look of this bridge, just all bathed in red. I mean, red is,
It's quite prominent in this movie.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Again, for people who are just flat out giving this movie just like a 0, it's just like, guys, it's if you don't agree with the plot, if you don't agree with the story, that's one thing, but it's a well-made movie. Like, come on.
I love that. I think Carrie Fisher did I want to say a much better job than The Force Awakens. I like her in The Force Awakens, but she feels much more like Leia here, I think.
Yeah, she did feel a little, I don't know, just a little sleepy in Force Awakens, just like, very short with her lines, not too much going on with her.
And I love that gag, wipe that nervous expression off your face, 3PO. That, to me, was right out of the original trilogy, just as a joke.
I
think Ryan Johnson said in the commentary that was the Tokyo Drift moment.
Yeah, it's you first brought it up to me, and then when I watched it, I was like, oh wow. People who watch the documentary on this will, if you have problems with where Luke goes, if you watch the documentary on that comes on the Blu-ray, whew. Yeah.
So what do you make of this whole bombing sequence?
It's okay. It's fine. I'm trying to think. Other than the prequels, when we didn't really have the end of 4, like real legit like space battles. Like this, this to me feels like the beginning of Empire Strikes Back, except in space.
Right. Yeah.
No, it's awesome. I mean, there's a bunch. I feel like this movie has a bunch of everything for anybody. Like if you just want like Transformers fucking explosion porn, like you're getting it right now.
Yeah.
It's a hell of an action sequence.
Yeah. You see all those little red dots on the bombs? That's the gravity indicator.
Yeah.
I love that was a big thing. Like, oh, I can't believe Ryan Johnson missed that. There's no gravity in space. How can you drop bombs? There's bombers in Empire Strikes Back. Just literally dropping bombs through space. But okay. So I can't resist. If we're going to be here for 2.5 hours, I have to dive into some of that kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I keep meaning to like, because there's a bevy of piss on Last Jedi videos on YouTube that appears to be the popular thing, where it's just like, really, guys, really. You're right there.
Yeah, it froze up.
Okay.
Just keep rolling. What were you saying?
Yeah, no, I saw you freak for a second, so I just kind of stopped. But
yeah.
The activator's bleeping. No. And of course, she's Asian, so there's another reason to complain. God forbid. Listen, I either want white men or fish people in my Star Wars movies. Nothing else.
I really love the performance she gives here. I mean, it's a very, very short part, but she really sells it.
Mm-hmm.
And just how like the vocals drop out and stuff, like the sound mixing is really cool. But yeah, like The Force Awakens, there was so much, I mean, you did the videos defending it and all that kind of stuff. This time around, I just feel like is it even worth going into?
Right.
Which is why I haven't really gone too deep into it.
And I keep waiting for our good buddy to see it, because apparently she hasn't seen it yet. And once she does, if she drops a video, I think I'll have a counter to that, because good old crotch rot.
They got some Valley Boy. We'll leave that there.
Yeah, this is a hell of a sequence.
Yeah. The rendering time on that shot. 18 days. Is it like the whole kind of, like right from the beginning, the whole theme of the film is failure, and it's set up here. They fail. Like most of them die. All those bombers get destroyed.
Right.
I mean, they take down the ship, but they lose like half the fleet. Failure number one.
I think that was one of Red Letter Media in the Plinkett video for Attack of the Clones. That was one of the major gripes that he had with Attack of the Clones, because it was a giant war, but there was no real sense of loss and what happens in war. And here you got it in 2 seconds, a shot of how many X-wings are down, and she shows this really emotional. It's just it's what happens in war. Leader that's.
And that was a great way to show it. It wasn't like hey, we've lost half our fleet. Just tell it with 2 shots of visual storytelling. That bit where Hux gets slammed down to the thing, the stuntman broke his nose. Which just makes me cringe even more when I see it. Have you seen the alternate opening of this yet?
With the unrendered background?
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
Where it's this shot and the camera pans down and the dome that looks like a planet is his the dome.
Yeah. Yeah, because apparently
questions yet. Before the trivia, try saying, "Give me a panda fact."
I beg your pardon.
Oh man, that's going to be problematic. I'll see if I can turn that off.
I'll kindly ask you to keep my affairs out of this, there, Alexa. Apparently, that was supposed to be the original opening shot, right?
Yeah, and you start with Finn. I love that transition. But you know, the film's edited terribly, so. So that wide shot must have been from Force Awakens because the weather's completely different.
Yeah, or later in the day. Yeah, yeah.
It's another controversial moment. Now, how did you view this when you first saw it? As a joke or a serious moment?
I'll tell you what. I did get a bit of a primer. I was prepared for this because I was spoiled this particular moment before seeing it. So I don't know. I don't know how I would have reacted without knowing it was coming. But again, I've had this argument, I think, 15 times, where is it funny? Is it hokey? Yes, it's Rey's first experience with Luke, and people act like, you know, Luke's this serious character. Jedi are serious, but the first time we see Yoda, he's digging into R2's food, banging him with a stick, saying "mine, mine, mine." I mean, like, people forget that, you know, first impressions aren't you know, this golden setup in this saga. It's just really again, is it a bit early for it? Sure, but I can let it pass.
Well, I view it as a serious moment. I don't find it funny, and not in the sense that the joke falls flat, but that it's you know, it's fuck that, you know. But everyone laughs in the cinema, so it's like it throws it off. So for me, it was like that moment doesn't quite work. But when I saw it in like a less crowded cinema, no one laughed. Worked a lot better for me. So, but I can see why people think it's meant to, because the music kind of drops down as well. So it's kind of, we're trained to, you know, oh, this is where it's supposed to be a joke. But watching it alone, it works for me.
You said you're coming back with us.
Another great transition.
Yep. I could have said Falcon.
Love this throne room. So cool.
Again, bathed in red.
Yeah. I love this smirk that Hux has on his face. It's such a
like
shitty little look.
Yeah. I mean, the villains in this, it just, I want so much more of what's going on with them than anything.
Yeah. The thing with Snoke, just like visually, I think, is that the mouth isn't fully there. There's something about it, but the fucking the eyes, the hair on the head, it's unbelievable, the amount of detail and how far that stuff has come.
Yeah, I never really had a true appreciation until again, another special feature on this disc. They show you the mocap acting, and oh Christ, why his name slipped my Andy Serkis. Fuck, I don't know why I always forget his name. Andy Serkis, you know, knocks it out of the park, man. Like,
oh yeah,
it a lot of people, and myself especially included, just take that shit for granted that he's doing what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Like later on in the movie when he says closer. It's just, ooh, yeah, it's a badass whatever action.
Mm. I don't know what it is. I just keep focusing on like the little stray little bits of hair on the top of his. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the only physical thing we ever see Snoke do. Really, is that Force lightning.
Mm. Mm.
Like outwardly physical. And my whole thing with Snoke is that the way I view him is he's kind of a great pretender. He clearly has, you know, a power with the dark side.
Right.
But he's an emperor wannabe. You know, I mean, he's got the throne room. You know, he would have been around in that time. He would have heard the stories. He's even got his own little viewing platform. You know, and you know, you can look at that as the filmmakers just taking that stuff. But I don't know. There's something about the fact he's always projecting himself. You know, like the face on the bridge in that scene with Hux. You know, his face is projected huge, massive. You know,
right.
Really projecting this manipulative and intimidating presence. And then you see him and he's frail and, you know.
Right, right. I love how flawed Kylo is. I'm sorry. This.
Yeah. Even just the way he walks away there, there's such a there's acting going on even when his back is turned to the camera. Nice little bit of foreshadowing coming up. There has to be some sort of little edit out there of, you know, what did you expect me to just walk out and face down the entire First Order with a laser sword and just cut to a horde of fans going, yes, that's exactly what we want.
Yeah, it is really weird how much people want something new, but they also want just loads of fan service. Like,
quite a dichotomy. The whole, you know, it was a carbon copy. Give us something new. It was no, that's not what it's supposed to be.
Right. What do you mean Snoke isn't Plagueis? Guys, what? Relax. What? They're new stories for the sake of fuck. What?
Oh, here we go. This is
another controversial shot scene, whatever you want to call it.
The Zaran Isaac was doing his defense of the film a few days ago, and he was saying like, "What people's problem with this scene? It's just a throwaway thing, and I moved on with my life." You know.
Right.
But to me, it does serve a purpose. Luke is actively trying to put Rey off. He's trying to you know, make it seem like he's this crazy. I mean, he is a crazy old man, but you know, he's like right here. He looks back at her. There's this look in his eyes when he looks back at her, and it's like, look, I'm fucking nuts. You know. You know, you don't want to be here. Just leave. Obviously, it's showing how he lives and gets food and all that, but I think there's a purpose there. I don't know how the hell he pulls this thing all the way back up, though. It feels like it would be retreading to say, you know, it's great how much was done on location, but it really is a highlight. Because there ain't no way George Lucas would go to Ireland to shoot stuff like this. It's just green screen. Oh.
Yeah. Where do we set the TV bay? Faster, more intense.
Like that shot when Luke's walking up the hill with the big fish on his back and it's pouring rain. I just assumed there was some trickery there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But they did. They got a rain machine on the side of this cliff, and you know they did it for real.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's, you know, if it's not space things, there's a lot of 50-50 if there is CGI in a location, which I think that's the best way to do it. Is it, like, you know, don't lean on computers.
Yeah.
You let it help something that's already there.
Yeah, I remember before at the Oscars after The Force Awakens, they released this like VFX reel to show some of the stuff in Force Awakens. It was just stuff you'd never think, oh, that was digital, you know?
Right.
I think one of the scenes with Snoke was shot originally with Kylo with his mask off, and they just digitally did a fake mask. You know, you'd never really notice that, but
right,
because they decided to hold off the reveal of his face. A little bit of an echoing of Empire there when she says something like, I've seen it in dreams or something. Reminds me when Luke gets to Dagobah and he's like, something feels familiar about this place. Which is more that he's maybe seen it in a dream, kind of an echo of the future. I think Daisy Ridley's great in the film too. Like, for obvious reasons, Adam Driver really, you know, steals the show. But like this scene, she's great. But I will say, she gives a terrible line delivery at one point. That's just, it's borderline Saws bandy.
Oh boy. Oh wait. All right. Well, when we get to it, remind me of that.
Well, you won't be able to hear it.
Yeah. Well, if I see it, I might be able to remember.
Yeah. It's just very flat, you know.
I cringed at the end with a Rose line where I'm just, really.
Yeah, I can see that. And that's another kind of vague Empire kind of reference in a way. There's an old out-of-print book about the making of Empire Strikes Back, and in one of the interviews with the director, Irvin Kershner, he talks about how the whole story is about, you know, whatever Rose says, you know, was it not fighting what we hate, saving what we love? Like, that's pretty much a direct quote from the director of Empire, so I don't know whether Ryan got it from that. I think he retweeted it or something. And what do you make of the whole this section of the film, the whole Poe, Leia, Holdo?
See, I think
through line.
I think this is necessary for Poe's character to advance him, because he's you know, he's cocky, he's arrogant. He's got to learn that you know, you can't always go on bravado. It serves a purpose. Like I feel like the one thing that this movie does, whether or not people want to admit it or deal with it, is they're transitioning into these newer characters, and doing so quite well, if you ask me. And it's like you said, there's this theme of failure. So like it fits the narrative. I don't know how else to put it. I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah,
I encourage it.
I love this. Like, I've always loved big scale, like just something so big it couldn't possibly exist. There's just something about that thrills me. So, I mean, it would get a bit ridiculous if they made one twice as big as this, you know, but yeah, I like the fact that the Star Destroyers is like, that's the first thing we ever saw in Star Wars was a Star Destroyer. And just how huge it was in comparison to that small ship. And then now it's, you know, the size of a city. I think Finn. I like where Finn's character goes. I've got no problems with that, but something about him in the film feels a little bit underwhelming, I think.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
If
Because I really liked him in The Force Awakens. I still like him here, but I feel like he takes a backseat a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'd ever be like, oh, let's cut some of the Kylo Ren scenes to get more Finn stuff. No, I'm not, definitely not saying that. You got to balance it somehow, I guess. But that might be worth going into, I suppose, is that one I'm going into, but just mentioning that this is one of my favorite films, easily. But I can still recognize there are things about it that aren't,
Oh, right.
Because you get a lot of that, like, oh, you loved it, wow, you just think it's all perfect, and no, not really. It's everything has problems.
Yeah, showing indescript people getting blown up. Another further, helps. It helps sell the many lives lost.
Well, I quite like the character of Tali Lintra, the A-wing pilot in the bombing sequence, and we only see her briefly, and she's triumphant, and then we see her again, and she's like, and then she dies. So it's setting it up and then cutting it down. This sequence again in 4DX, and just in the cinema in general, it's this bit when they whiz past the ship. And you feel the rattling if the sound's loud enough. It's really cool. And I love this kind of homage where their faces fade very, very slightly. It's the same thing from Empire at the end. I think it's like 6 or 7 frames. Now, should we talk about the trailer when this came out and it was the big sting that they showed this?
I thought it was misdirection.
Yep, I thought it was too. Now, what was your reaction when this happened first time?
Like right now, I was like, oh, no wonder they didn't. Again, knowing what you know about Carrie Fisher, I was like, no wonder they said that they weren't going to worry about it in episode 9. I'm like, that's it.
I felt like my gut got ripped out. I just couldn't believe it. And also I was thinking in my head, like, we've seen other shots of her in the trailer. They lied. Like, like they went through this whole elaborate ruse, and then just again knowing the fact that she was gone as well in real life was
right. And something that we kind of skipped over. There was a lot more in Kylo's face before he couldn't pull the trigger, and like that right there. That's emotion. That's but I can't sing the praise of Adam Driver enough, especially in this movie.
Yep.
People have a problem with this moment too.
I love it, unashamedly. I can see people getting iffy about it. But like for me, it was the fact that she died, and then I thought she was dead, and then she came back. Like, it was overwhelming, and then the music, John Williams bringing in that old Princess Leia theme. And you can look at it from a goofy perspective, and people are flying Leia. Well, she's not really flying for one thing, superhero Leia. If you're in space, all it needs is a little nudge, wouldn't take that much effort. And then they're like, well, she hasn't had sufficient training,
How do we know that? Like,
I love that she crosses through the hologram of the ship right where it gets split later on. That's kind of a fun.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
I guess that's what 11 viewings will do.
yeah. Actually, I think someone pointed it out on Twitter, and I didn't see it myself. But the whole training thing. Like, she's a Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like, the bloodline that was born from the Force itself.
And they talk to each other at the end of Jedi too. It's just like, guys, come on.
It's like, just a defense mechanism,
It's just so strange how they'll do work. They'll do, like, they'll go the extra yard for some things, and some things like, no, I don't know why this. Wait, what? How come Obi-Wan was able to be ghost person in Empire, you were fine with that. You were absolutely fine with that. There was no predecessor. There was nothing that we saw like that before, and suddenly that's okay.
No.
It's just so strange how it's something new gets introduced, and people are like,
I just love that she got this moment, you know, something we haven't seen before, and
knowing that she is no longer with us, thankfully we get that little.
Yeah, I mean, it was just emotional, and then especially when you cut to the shot of her daughter watching it as well. There was something very eerie about that, but
right.
Yeah, you know, I'm a fan of it. I can see why people don't like it, but they rag on it a bit too much, I think.
I think this is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, R2's head spins around twice. There's a little bit of a continuity error there. And someone was telling me that's an example of why the film is terribly edited.
What?
I'm like, that's a continuity error. Well, the editor should have caught it.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, there's these people doing it. And here, neat trick. I forgot, maybe it was you that brought it up, Luke, that, you know, Leia sends out a hologram asking for help, and this movie ends with Luke as a hologram helping her. I don't remember where I heard it, but I was like, oh, that just makes me enjoy it that much more.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. I think I saw someone else post about that.
Right.
It's a cool way to look at it.
Yeah. I forgot what I was saying before that shit. Damn commentaries. Oh yeah, the hyperbole. There seems to be this, you know, enough people online say a certain thing, so now I'm just like, I think if Suicide Squad didn't exist, I wonder if people would even know what to talk about regarding editing. Like,
right.
Like everybody hated Suicide Squad, and they had all these gripes with the editing, and now it's like, oh, okay, so I can say that now in the future.
I mean, I saw this day one, knocked out by it, loved it, went straight back in, watched it again, and this was, I think, a day before it came out wide everywhere else because I was in Norway at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the complaints started trickling in, and some the editing was just terrible. You can't make sense of what's going on. And I was just thinking, okay, maybe I was, you know, kind of bowled over by it, you know. So the next time I saw it, I really paid attention to the editing, and I just came out thinking, I don't see the problem.
I think what people meant to say was maybe the pacing, like the fact that we're going back and forth, but like,
right, yeah,
it's like you said, the editing. What?
I mean, if you don't like the pacing, I can at least understand and get behind that. So perhaps it is just a misunderstanding of what editing is and what goes into it, I suppose.
Right.
Because it definitely isn't perfectly balanced. Like there's a long stretch where it stays on the island with Luke and Rey.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that stretch because it's like all these great scenes one after another.
Yeah, no, and you know how I am with pacing. I'm kind of not against, but there's the slower stuff tends to be a more difficult time for me. But if you're going to pay it off, I'm all right with it. And you know, I wouldn't even call the Luke stuff in the beginning here slower. It's just everything we get from, like, I wouldn't even say Act 3. I would say like halfway through Act 2 on is just like,
yeah,
oh my God, this is incredible.
Yeah. All right, so the Holdo and Poe situation.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. It's more stuff for him to come up against. I mean, really, for the majority of the movie, he's stuck not doing what he does, which is, you know, flying a ship and blow stuff up. So,
right, and like I said before, it's fleshing his character out. Like we haven't had this much from him, period.
I mean, he was supposed to die at the beginning of Force Awakens originally, you know.
Right.
So there wasn't a huge amount done with him in the first one, apart or the seventh one. Besides, you know, hey, you know, hotshot pilot. And then we have Rose. Your opinion?
I'm okay with it. I'm fine with her till like, if again, I'm okay. Like, I'll take it. For big picture, it's a chink in the armor, but if I need it to make the whole film, then I'll take it. But the stuff at the end confuses me, and that line is a little cringe heavy. But other than, like, again, it's you know, pick your battles. Like, there's 4 or 5 maybe moments or lines where I'm just like, but I mean, that I could say that about Inception, where it's just like that, and that's my favorite movie, where it's, you're just like, really?
Right. Well, Empire Strikes Back is my favorite film, and I never quite got that kind of, you could use a good kiss. Like, what does that mean? Like, what, he's gonna kiss her like aggressively, and that'll sort things out? I don't.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You know, and Empire is as flawless as that movie is. I could do without the whole asteroid bit, the asteroid bit where they're in the, you know, it doesn't, you know, isn't really necessary, especially if you're going to talk about necessity in this movie. Just what purpose does that serve? And again, I'm not outright saying it. You know, it doesn't serve a purpose, but, you know, in comparison, it's all relative.
Yeah. Well, I really like Rose's character. I think.
Wait, what is that? Is that a giant bottle of, what kind of soda is that?
It's just regular Coke. They've actually started phasing out in the UK now, pretty much all sugary ones. So now it's like Coke Zero, Coke Diet. You can only get vanilla Coke as vanilla Zero. It's just the drizzling shits. That's just.
Yeah, and we just got these, the peach.
Yeah, we just started getting them too. But is it full sugar though?
That's a good question.
Because they don't have that here. It's just the sugar-free stuff.
Well, it says Georgia peach, so.
All right.
Added sugar 73%.
Well, there you
go. 3/4 sugar.
Spice mine up with a little Fireball whiskey.
Ooh.
But
you like your cinnamon, huh?
Oh yeah.
Dude, you'd love it. The one thing Emily complains about in America, she's like, you guys put cinnamon in fucking everything.
Attack of the Cinnamon. Yeah, I like Rose a lot. I think she's adorable, and, you know, certainly not a strong point of the film.
No,
but I like. I think Rian Johnson said that originally it was Finn and Poe off to the casino, you know, but then he found that those characters just had too much fun together. You know, it was just, there needed to be some kind of, you know, a way for, obviously, for Poe to continue his kind of lesson, and then Finn his. So. Yeah, and I even like the little casino jaunt, you know. I remember, again, when the film first came out, we spent 45 minutes in the casino scene is like maybe 10, 15, like max. You know, it's not
right
big of a chunk.
And again, it's bigger picture for me. I like Benicio del Toro's character. I like what we get from him. And if you're telling me I need to sit through that casino thing to get Benicio, then yeah, all right. Because he's like the flip side of a coin version of Han Solo. He's just so.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about him that I dug.
Yeah. Need a lift? Have we already gone over the Maz Kanata scene? Is that, or the hologram?
I don't think that's happened yet.
Okay. Because that's one that's a little, like the bit where she's like, "Oh, this guy can do everything," and she's like, "Oh yeah." stroking a gun. Like, it's a bit of an odd one.
Now here it is.
Oh yeah. And like, where is the camera that she's got that she gets to do a dramatic kind of, you know?
Right, right.
Like just logistic. I'm thinking, wait, so the camera captures 360? Like it follows her independently of anything else? See, I can be nitpicky about the film.
Oh, sure. Yeah, right, right. Well, that's see, like that was stuff that I was complaining about in the prequels. Granted, it's quite a ripe field to pick from, but when they would sit in the Jedi temple and they're like, if they weren't there, their little force thingy would. I was always like, well, how does whatever they're being projected on know exactly where they end and their chair begins? Like, but like again, it's just like just let it happen. Like really?
Yeah. Another great transition. I just want to say this is a really random thing, but I think Daisy Ridley does a great job of looking like someone who's just woken up. Like there's just something about it. Like it's weird. Every time I see it, there's a look on her face that looks genuinely kind of, you know, groggy. Like not overdoing it, but just like, you know. Just something that just stood out to me from the first time I saw it. And I guess this is another big part of the film that was a difference, the Force connection stuff, which I think is such a great device to continue their story together,
right?
While still having them doing their own thing.
You know, that was an earned joke. What we're gonna have in a second with the hole in the. Oh wait, I don't think that happens now. Yeah.
I love that little slide. I love the look on his face when he says, "You'll bring Luke Skywalker to me," and then he remembers that she can withstand him, and he's like, "Oh fuck yeah." He's just great.
I was just gonna say. I mean, I can't say it enough. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what they do with this guy.
Yeah. I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but I keep saying it about it. He's like Rutger Hauer in Blade Runner, where it's just a performance where every frame I'm just like captivated by what his face is doing, you know, the emotions and inflections. Wow, that they sure all appeared very quickly without her noticing.
Yeah. Bad editing.
What do you think of the Porgs? We haven't mentioned those yet.
Again, bigger picture.
Yeah, but I find it funny because before the film came out, there was quite a big, like, you know, merch push for those fucking Porgs, like big time. There was someone who went out and bought all the merchandise, and it filled a whole room. And I felt sure it was going to be like an Ewok situation where people would just be like up and down. Oh, they're trying to sell toys. I haven't heard any complaints about Porgs whatsoever.
Right.
I guess that's probably because people's problems were much bigger.
Right.
But I was quite surprised that there wasn't a Porg backlash, and that, you know,
Master Skywalker.
That's it.
Oh,
that's it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Master Skywalker. Kylo Ren is very strong in the dark side of the Force. Like it's just flat. Like,
what are we going to do?
Maybe not that bad.
There are too many of them.
Boy, it sure is convenient that there's a naturally growing rock pedestal there for her to have a dramatic lesson on.
Sit here, legs crossed. Take it easy there, Luke.
Hey, man, that might be his door. Come on.
Close your eyes. Yeah. Yeah, I fell for this trick back on Dagobah.
I think I feel it.
Yeah, see, this is funny. Like,
yeah. I'm amused by when she says, "You mean reach out like," and she goes really London with that bit. And I just find it funny. I love this scene. I mean, you have to do it. You have to have the scene where she gets the Force described to her. So it's gonna sound similar. But it's just cool seeing Luke being the guy to do that, you know.
Yeah, I think that perhaps I don't know. Perhaps the problem with people having a problem with this is like we've been down this road before, and it's just like, oh, come on. But the way it's being described now is new.
Yeah,
you move rocks around. That's so that's so on the nose.
Yeah.
Well, especially later.
I think they're both great in this scene. See, it gets to a point where, you know, I'm such a fan of Mark Hamill and Luke Skywalker that, you know, we get a whole movie of him being one of the central characters, doing some great acting. Like, beyond that, I don't really care. Like, if he did bad stuff, you know, if it's a captivating story, character, performance.
Very, very Lost-y vibe here, with the black hole with the darkness. That's very out of Lost. Surprised J.J. Abrams didn't direct this one. In Lost, there's literally the same thing where the evil is in a hole.
Yeah.
Yep. Hi, teaser trailer.
Yeah. I just like the idea of this island being like the first place, the first origins, you know. Like this is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and this island is from a lot longer than before that.
Yeah.
And you got this weird hole, and you know the cave and the tree, and that symbol in the little pool there behind Luke. It's like it's like a yin and yang kind of thing, you know, which is hinting at the darkness and light. And that was another thing before the film. Everyone's like, "Oh, gray Jedi," you know, Luke's going to master the light and the dark. They don't quite go full bore into that, but it's definitely hinted at, I think, that things aren't or won't be as black and white anymore. And then this idea of the chase, like the First Order just slowly chasing the Resistance. I got no problem with that, because to me it's that the bad guys being arrogant. You know, they're like, oh, there's a fly, and we're just going to slowly pursue it until we kill it. Like, it's, you know, we're enjoying this, we're drawing it out. We don't want to kill them quickly. We want to, you know, have these, you know, these rebel scum kind of live in fear for the last, you know, 10 hours of their life, and then we'll kill them. And I like that too, where she puts her hand out and she's kind of like, just because she's never seen rain before, you know. Because to me, I don't want to say it was a worry, but I was wondering if her character would get so cut off from joy in this film because of the darkness, you know. So it's nice to see those little moments where she is just, and later where she's kind of having fun swinging the lightsaber around, you know. That kind of hopefulness of her character from The Force Awakens is still there, which I liked. I'm kind of torn on how much I want to. Oh, I just got major deja vu. Then I'm kind of torn on if I want to know much more about Kylo's backstory, you know, because I feel like there's so much more you could learn about it, and it would be so interesting. But at the same time, I kind of like not knowing too much, you know. Some things shouldn't be over-explained, but there's just so much. Like this kid who's been burdened with the legacy of that he has, his bloodline, and then you know the pull to the dark and the light and all that stuff.
Do you think that maybe people are a little sour on everything that happens here? Because if aesthetically speaking, it looks the most prequel trilogy-ish.
Wait, that's another funny thing. Have you noticed that the prequels have gotten a lot more, like it's turned around a bit? There's been a lot of, well, at least the prequels did something. Like I've seen a lot of it where the prequels people don't seem as salty on the prequels anymore. But certainly, I agree. I agree. When I saw some of the set photos of this, I was like, "Oh, the designs look very prequel-y for some reason." And this is a shot from. Yeah. I love that.
Except if you see how they did it, it's just like you're cheating with this giant thing that just.
And I love how. Oh, I never noticed that. Huh. There's where Finn got cut through the shoulder by Kylo's lightsaber. It's been patched up. Never noticed that. This little dude is played by Mark Hamill, and this always falls flat in any cinema I've seen it in. Like no one laughs, you know. I find it, you know, it's amusing, but you know, it seems to go on a bit and no one laughs, and it feels a little. That was one of my favorite parts of the 4DX when they pop the champagne bottle and you get a spurt of water in your face. I like how Finn is like so wowed by this, like he just thinks it's amazing. Because this is a guy who's never seen anything like this before, you know, just completely cut off from this kind of society. Like we've seen him in Force Awakens, he goes to like a dive kind of bar, kind of the whatever you call it, Maz's cantina, if you want to call it that. And then like a rebel base, but this is just something so far removed from anything he's seen before. So he is like a kid experiencing it.
Luke, do you have a white box around me on the Hangout thing?
No.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Because I have to influence the camera to go to you when you're talking.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Usually that means that the other person in the call has the other person highlighted.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't see anything.
Oh, you know what? I should check the stream to make sure that it's happening right on that end. Man, I should have done that way before now. Okay, yeah.
All right.
So I just have to, whenever you talk, I just have to.
Okay. It's a bit of a pain in the ass.
It's all right. It's not biggie.
Well, I would assume anyone who
should be, yeah, right. Yeah. They should be watching, not really watching the movie, should I say.
Yeah. Or just listening to it like a podcast or something.
The one thing I laughed at was the jingling noise of
yeah.
the coins or whatever in them.
And this is another thing I never got was people say, how can she know how to use a lightsaber? Look, it's set up in The Force Awakens. She has a staff and has spent her whole life defending herself with it.
Right.
She's just taught herself. Simple. It's all there. See, that's where it does great on me. There's just little things that people point out that as a weakness when it has been set up specifically to explain why. This is a point where I really wish I could hear the movie because I love the score in this scene.
Yeah, I think this movie, or at least I've noticed more than anything, has a really perfect blend of all three trilogies I think there's stuff. I'm not even talking about Duel of the Fates. There's stuff in episode 3, like a lot of the tragic stuff when Anakin's turning.
Yeah.
That there's a lot of stuff that sounds, very close to stuff like that. I don't know if it was on purpose or what, but it was enough to remind me of those moments, and I was like, that's neat. And of course, we get the original trilogy stuff towards the end there. But
yeah.
really nice blend, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the score. I just feel so grateful that he's still around and doing this stuff, because there's such a sense of continuity for obvious reasons with all the music.
Right.
Because I remember when I first came out of The Force Awakens, one of the things I said was score wasn't that, didn't stand out very much, but it really grew on me. So when you hear Rey's theme in this or Kylo's theme, like it's like, already it feels like it's ingrained.
And
here we get the Rashomon stuff. You haven't seen Rashomon, have you?
No, I own it. I haven't watched it yet, and it's not in my. It's not within 3,000 miles of me as I speak.
Oh, I see. I just love the idea that Luke ultimately couldn't cope with it.
Right.
Well,
yeah. These people that not my Luke. It's just like, guys, this is a character, a person, whatever. 30 years later, guys, like, what the fuck? People grow up. Things happen, and they're showing us what happened.
Right. Okay. I'll just tee off on this one, right? Because first of all, I just want to say, like, and you've seen the documentary, right? Where you see him just collapsing after this shot. Like he gives it all. Like if you look at this shot here where he puts his hand on R2, I mean the shot's like 6-7 seconds. When they're filming it behind the scenes, like he's crying for like a full minute or whatever. He really did. I think it's his best performance, But yeah, right. So the whole Luke thing, the whole not my Luke thing. All right. If we go back to Empire, which is at least put on a pedestal as the big one, he won't accept stuff, like Yoda says, don't go and save your friends, and he does it anyway, right? And he gives in to temptations and so on, and specifically in Return of the Jedi, like I was commenting on your stream the other night, Vader is goading him, basically, I'll hurt people you love. So Luke snaps when he's not supposed to, and he goes out and he pretty much almost kills him. Like he literally has chopped his dad's hand off, robotic or not, and is standing over him, panting, like with a fucking bloodlust in his eyes,
Right.
And obviously that subsides, and he doesn't go through with it, but the snap, the spark is there.
Right.
And that's exactly what happens here. He sees like he says, the death and destruction of everything I loved. And so I thought, fuck, I gotta stop it, And then he doesn't, because he's like, well, shit, no, that'd be terrible. I can't do that, And that's the great twist about it, is that, like, I don't know, maybe if his finger hadn't touched the ignition button, none of this would have happened, Maybe if Ben was a heavy sleeper, none of this would have ever happened,
Right.
But how can you explain yourself when your nephew turns around and sees you like that? And obviously when Ben tells his side of the story, he literally sees it as Luke standing over him with I'm going to kill you.
Right.
And so it's the perspectives,
And it it's something like that. It would weigh on somebody. I hate to compare it to something so serious and real, but there's I've had something very tragic happen to me personally that I can't stop thinking about. There's moments that I what if to death. So like it changes your mindset whether or not you want it to. Like it's just like they show us like what happened. Like I don't understand why is that so hard to comprehend. Like he's You're everything you said. You're absolutely right. Like
he's a character who has been previously established to be over emotional and to not make the right decisions. And again, it just feels like people just switch their brains off when he explains. For a fleeting moment, I thought I could stop it, and then I was left with nothing but shame and regret because of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that Ben was probably thinking, he's jealous of my power. Going back to the Anakin thing, the petulant kind of, what's the word? The sense of self-righteousness. I've got this power. I've got this. For Anakin, it was I'm the chosen one.
Entitlement, maybe.
Yeah, entitlement. That's it. Yeah. Here we have Benicio. I love his decision to do that kind of the stutter and stuff.
Yeah.
He explained it as this is a guy who's Katoga. Just random. I always love the little random alien language words. Yeah, he said because this was something he brought to it. It wasn't written that he would have this stutter. And he thought, if this is a guy who's such a a code breaker or whatever, or he's he's a good hacker, then he'd have some deficiency elsewhere. So
yeah, see, and this is where people say, like I really fail to understand what people were watching because they say, oh, Benicio del Toro managed to why was he keeping himself in jail? Why did he let himself stay in jail? If he was able to let himself out, and it's just like BB-8 let them out. What were you watching? Like I don't what?
I never even thought about it like that. To be honest.
That's a genuine gripe that people have. Like, oh, he's in jail, but magically he can just let himself go when they show up. No, it's fucking BB-8 that lets him out.
I didn't even think about that myself. I thought that it would be just he's having a kip. He looks like the kind of character who would, He's like, oh, I got caught. I'll sleep it off.
Sleep it off.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just so disheveled.
Mm.
I love that is all real with all the heads.
Yes.
And that they did the old doubling effect. That's kind of I love that they went old school with that.
Oh, hello. Where's your broom?
Broom boy.
Take this.
No, the Schwartz. I really do feel like a broken record, but again, another thing I saw some complaints of with this whole angle, and like, oh, look, they're trying to get into like the animal welfare thing, trying to make a message. So, like, what is that such a bad thing to be like, Does everything have to be a message or an agenda? Animals are kept up in captivity and they're mistreated. You free them. It's a nice thing. Done. And it gives you a cool action sequence.
Yeah.
Although I've heard people say this feels like a Harry Potter movie.
It does a little bit.
Which I can get the comparison there.
And even Emily said that the score reminded her. John Williams did the score.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's plenty of reason to think that.
I love that weird like creature with all the eggs in the body, just like, and then Finn turns around like, what the? Like he's just kind of like us going, wait, what?
Yeah, you call them eggs. I'll call that a her.
Well, I know what I thought the first time I saw it, but
Total Recall. So this right here, this little stretch that we're seeing is the most leaked set photo area that we've seen. And if you would have told me when those photos came that we'd be seeing this, I'd be like, wait, what?
It's just another part of the world. It's just fleshing out a different location.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's space.
Why not?
Galaxy. Oops. The junk will have to do.
Don't go into the long grass.
I don't know why I didn't think of that. God, I always think of that.
Why did it take me so long?
Don't go to the long grass.
Like, even without the sound, I'm not enjoying this.
Right.
Like specifically this sequence, you know, it's I like the shot when they're going across the beach and it's like the two moons or whatever. That's kind of cool.
Mm. Marty. I don't believe it.
One day, this black guy and this Asian chick and this round droid are gonna come up to you, and they're gonna
Need a lift?
take these sacred ancient Jedi texts, and you'll never lose. Do you have a thermal detonator? No, you don't have a get a thermal detonator.
Of course you do.
Oh, I love this scene too. Because this is him reconnecting with the Force, you know.
Mm.
And that's another key thing, obviously, that they make a point to point out is that, you know, she's like, oh, you've closed yourself off from the Force, you know. Because you would think with the death and destruction that has rained down since Kylo Ren has kind of become a thing, you know, that would just rip him apart. So he's just completely ignoring all of it.
Right. Or not ignoring it. Oh, maybe shutting himself off to it.
Yeah.
Not ignorance. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Man, I'm so bad. Tits. We got tits.
This is some very high-waisted trousers there. And I again, I couldn't believe that Daisy stuff was on location there. Like,
yeah.
they literally like, okay, yep, we got like 10 minutes to do this, so get your tear ducts ready. We've got Adam Driver off camera in a big puffer jacket. What do you make of, or did you even notice that they moved his scar between the two movies?
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, in Force Awakens, it goes up his nose like that. But here they did it across his eye. And someone pointed out on Twitter, and Ryan Johnson was just like, it just didn't look good. So we changed it. That's all I can say. Apparently that blue lightsaber that Ben pulls to his hand is his lightsaber now. Like, he's kind of repurposed it and built over it and stuff, because people screenshotted it and seen that it's a similar hilt. I haven't really looked into it, but a little bit of trivia, perhaps.
Let the past die. I mean, you might as well be saying it to the audience, for fuck's sake.
Right, yeah. Well, a lot of people have latched onto that as like the film was trying to say to you, fuck the originals. You know? I saw an interview with Ryan Johnson. He's like, yeah, people are taking that a little bit too full on. Like, yeah, that is a part of it, but it's not like the full message. It is very much from this guy who is completely conflicted.
Yeah. Do you want new movies or not? Like, what?
Yeah, I know.
What the fuck?
And I'll tell you another thing, to go back to the whole "Not My Luke," like, we wanted to see Luke, Han, Leia, and Chewie back in action together, and it's just like, there's 3 movies of that.
Yeah. You go to your local Best Buy. You can get either A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, or Return of the Jedi. You can have a gay old time. There's about 7 hours worth of it.
I mean, I get it. You know, they could have done episode 7 as a, you know, they would have been able to get away with it, but I don't know. It's more interesting to have them be,
because Indiana Jones, 25 years later, that was something that, man, let me tell you, thank God they did that, because this is a neat another behind the scenes, again, really well made movie. The way they did this is incredible. You would think they just, you know, again, you talk about George Lucas, you just fucking do this in post. They had multiple cameras doing this. Like, this is intense.
Yeah. This is actually the one scene in the film that hasn't aged well, which sounds weird to say because it's only been out for a few months, but you know, considering how many times I've seen it, and not this part, but when she's kind of wants to see her parents and the kind of the 2 figures merge, you know, and the face kind of like, because the first time I watched it, my heart was fucking pounding out of my chest, like, what are we gonna see, you know? And then now it's like, well, you know what's coming, so there's no real, you know, no real tension there.
So I guess this is where I'll be a typical internet fanboy. Part of me hopes that there's some sort of fallacy to the whole, her parents were nobodies. Like, there's a part of me that hopes that that's just Ben fucking with her.
Yeah.
I mean, if you tell me she's important and just take it, I'll take it. But can you give me just a little bit more? Like, how does she? If they say how it happened, if they have to bring up the goddamn midi-chlorians again, whatever. Just I don't know.
I love this idea of her searching for something, for more of a meaning in her life, and just finding herself and just being broken by it, you know, dramatically. But as for that, it sounds like a cop-out answer, but I'm cool either way. Like, I like the idea that she is no one. And I very much was vocal. I thought she was Luke's daughter. All the signs were pointing towards it. And I do think that there is a bit of a disconnect between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. Look at the end of The Force Awakens. When she holds the lightsaber out, she's almost in tears. He looks out, he's almost in tears. Next time we catch up, they're not so emotional about it. To me, that looked like an emotional reunion. And why was Obi-Wan calling out to Rey in that vision? Rey? You know, oh, he knows her, does he? Why does Obi-Wan know this girl from nowhere? Now, that could be just the fact that you literally are having a director make a film and then another guy does the next part and they don't really, you know. Or it could be that there's something more to it. So it remains to be seen. But I like the idea that she's no one and that, you know, it isn't this exclusive thing to the Skywalker, you know, family.
Right. And
but I would also like her to be, you know, more important, perhaps. You know, I'm really...
I don't know if you were there with me and Roger when we were talking in the beginning of the week, but I said even if they just connect the dots and do a little retconning, and it's not even retconning, if they refer her as the another that Yoda refers in Jedi,
right?
Like, I'll take that too. Like,
yeah,
like you could easily back out of the him referring Leia deal. And you're actually doing some work that cleans up some people's gripes with what, the prequels, I guess.
Yeah, I'd be on board with that.
Just say that, you know, like have Force Ghost Yoda talking to Force Ghost Luke somewhere, and you know she's the next one after you. I don't know. Just it's a one-line thing, but I don't know.
I love this fight. It's the way he's kind of toying with her, and he's got like this little sly smirk at one point. And I guess this is the only real one-on-one sabery fight in the film, kind of duel.
Yeah, sort of. Thank you.
And again,
go ahead. No. I was no. Don't worry.
No, don't worry.
I was thinking of the Kylo stuff, but yeah, it's not really a fight. You're right.
Yeah, but again, broken record. But I love that bit when he force explodes the hut, and they just did it for real. Like, I just can't believe the audacity. Like, that's easily done CGI. Like, no, they had all these rocks on like hundreds of strings.
Strings, right? Yeah.
And then they had Adam Driver there, kind of like scooting out of frame. Right. So here's the scene, and God, he's just so fucking good in this. Again, like, without hearing anything, just looking at his face and his eyes. Like, I don't even need to hear anything. You know what's going through his mind.
I was left with shame and consequence.
Yeah.
Where the eyes of a frightened boy. Come on. That would fuck anybody up.
Yep. This film's just great. I love it.
I don't like. Yeah. Maybe that's what the problem is like there's too much, like there's a bunch of character stuff in this movie that's just awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess people wanted to see Luke running around and you know, Rey standing upside down, bouncing Luke on one foot. Like I
love this where she kind of does the, all right, I'll give you one more chance, like the first time they met, and he's just defeated, done. And I think I read that in the novelization, which I haven't read yet, I've got it, but it's implied that when Luke goes to burn the tree down, he's not just going to burn the tree down, he's going to kill himself as well. Like, right. He's just like, I'm done with this, Oh, and that was another thing as well, because another little issue I had was, why is Luke just standing around in his ceremonial robes when Rey arrives, when usually he's wearing this, down and dirty stuff? But apparently that was another one of his attempts where he was going to do it that day, and he's been holding it off for a while. Like, this is the day I'm going to do it, This is kind of ceremonial ritual suicide in a way. I don't know anyone who has a problem with this scene.
Yep.
That's the one thing people are like, well, that was pretty awesome. And I still think that he looks a little off in the first couple of shots. But right. In the close-up coming up, it
might have been. Is it possible they went back and forth between CG? Because I know they used a real.
No, it's all a puppet, but I don't know what it is. It just looks so much better in the second half of the scene. But I mean, this was it to me. This was like two of my favorite characters from my favorite film, in another scene together. And and I cried, like tears just streamed down when the score came in, the Yoda's theme. They just did me, and I couldn't stop it. And I didn't even listen to what they were saying the first time. Like, I didn't get any of it. I was so bowled over by it. And some people could say, oh, crying at a movie. Isn't that the goal, to be like moved in the best?
Yeah, emotion. Way? Sure, absolutely.
That's it, man. That's what it's about. And I like that we got playful Yoda back for a bit as well. It's a mix. It's a blend.
Page turners, they were not. You ought to get nitpicky. Why did nobody have a problem with a Force ghost being able to? I mean, again, it sets the precedent for what we're about to see in a bit. But everybody complains about all this new introduced Force stuff. Well, Yoda just struck lightning with I don't know. This whole series has been a series of movies where they've introduced new little elements to the lore of the Force, and we haven't had problems with it until just recently, it seems.
And this goes back to Empire, but like the way that, you know, he's acting against a puppet, you know, a little Muppet thing with such emotion that it just makes it real.
Mm.
And I just kind of find it's kind of sad, but it's also kind of fun that, you know, even as an old man, Luke is still, you know, he's still just that kid, you know, who can't quite put it all together.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that line, "We are what they grow beyond." As in, the people we teach, and, you know, they will eventually become more than us, you know.
Mm.
And that, you know, one day it just isn't about you anymore, you know. It's about them.
Same in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. About that. Again, it's kind of interesting to watch this without the sound, really, but this stuff hasn't really felt that long, you know. Like, it's
right. It
really is doled out in fairly short portions.
The editing's terrible. I mean, that especially for somebody who's on their 11th viewing. Like, I'll watch movies a 5th, 6th, 7th time, where it's just like, oh yeah, this stuff, and I'll go find something to do for 5 minutes. I know what's happening.
Yeah, I'm very particular about. I mean, most of those viewings were in the cinema, but you know, I rarely rewatch even favorite films. You know, I like to kind of space them out, and I'm sure that's what's going to happen with this film. You know, up to a point, it's going to be once a year, once every couple of years. You know, but no, it keeps holding up. It's and this stuff is maybe a little on the nose. You know, like weapons dealers selling to both the good side and the bad. A little bit lesson to learn there, Finn. Maybe not trust everyone.
What do I feel like?
See that shot there, like where they're just blowing up the ships as they run out of fuel. Like, they're just picking them off. They're just enjoying it, you know.
Right.
It's what bad guys do. They're fucking malicious and cruel.
Yeah, no, it gets way like the scope of just how powerful the First Order is, I think, is done better here than perhaps with the exception of that opening shot of A New Hope. It's done better here. Like, you get just how little everybody else is to them. That's just my interpretation, I guess. I don't know.
But also, I love that this is the last pocket, you know. In the original trilogy, you know, the Rebel Alliance, you know, we got, you know, everyone out there's fighting the fight. Here it's like, no, this is it. Yeah, we're literally down to this now. And we're losing half our fleet in the beginning of the movie to start with, and then when they get to the base at the end and they send out the distress signal and no one answers it, you know, like it's literally just bottom of the barrel, just
playing Risk. You got one die left to roll for defense.
I
don't know if you're a Risk player, but I don't know.
The reference worked either way.
Okay. You usually get to roll 2 die, but if you only have one person in the country, you can only roll 1 die. The script is just so forced.
I see what you did there. And then the whole issue of, you know, you just saw a very quick glimpse there of Rey closing the drawer with the sacred Jedi texts. What was I going to say? Oh, the Holdo stuff, right? Where, oh, you know, why didn't you just tell Poe the plan and then nothing happens? Well, one, Poe doesn't learn the lesson.
Right.
Or if he does, then, you know, he learns a lesson, and then what does he do for 45 minutes of the movie? You know, you need to tell that story. But also, you know, she's a higher ranking official. He just got demoted.
Right.
It's kind of how it works. You wouldn't tell everyone, because to us as an audience, yeah, he's one of the main characters, but they don't see that as characters in the story. They don't see that, you know. She's not going to go, wow, this guy's in the movie longer. So
yeah, I remember getting to this and remember looking at my watch like, wait a minute.
Yep.
Wait a minute. What?
Well, it's when they get to the throne room, and I was like, oh, whoa, wow, we're here. I think I'm reading into this, but when she looks at him there, and then he walks off, his stubble has grown a bit, and I like to imagine like he just hasn't been able to kind of think about anything else but seeing her when she gets on the ship, you know. But it's probably just the fact that he didn't shave that day or something. I like the kind of the Rey Chewie thing when she's like, you know, tell Finn, and then he says he wrote this little roar. You should, yeah, tell him that. But it's, you know, like Chewie's lost his, you know, he's lost his buddy, and so he's kind of, you know, I just like that Rey and Chewie ended up together in some way. It was kind of a little crew with the Porgs. Zaran Isaac brought up in his video that like he sees the Porgs to Chewie as like kind of like comfort animals to help him through the grief, which is kind of a cute idea. But right, so this part, the mutiny, I like this when I first saw it because I didn't know where it was going, you know.
Right.
I'm like, what does he do next? And then when she starts stunning everyone, at first I thought she was shooting them and was turning heel, you know, like.
For God's sakes! That's Leia's music.
And I like that little. I mean, that to me felt like a Spaceballs moment. You know,
the iron, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind like opening up a little bit to maybe let more outlandish jokes in there. You know, it's just bottom line. I think people just get too precious.
Right. Oh, BB9E.
Yeah, BB hate some people. I never got until someone pointed it out that BB-8 is doing the little Imperial kind of, you know, did it, but like it's out of pitch or something. Like
oh, I didn't get that either.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Like, look at his face. He's just so like out of it, you know. But like, just the look on his face, like he doesn't seem like he's someone who has power in this scene, even though he's like positioned above her, looking down, obviously because of the height and stuff. But like in The Force Awakens, he's very much like, you know, the aggressor, and here he's just like, you know. I think someone made the joke that, you know, Kylo Ren's supposed to be this great villain, but he's always looks like he's on the verge of tears in every single shot in the film.
Torment.
Yeah. The deed split your spirit to the bone.
I guess a healthy diet of wrestling does make this scene that much more appreciated, I guess.
Right, let's talk about this. The fact that they fail. Right, and what was the whole point of all of this if they just fail? What the fuck do you people want? First, you're moaning about the fact that the main character does nothing wrong. Now, some of the heroes, they mess up. Well, what was the point then? Do you have any idea what you want? I love the fact that they go through all of this thing throughout most of this, the first 2 acts of the film, and it fails.
So
not only does it fail, that they end up costing more lives because of it.
Right. The part where I get a little, I guess confused is the comfortable word I'll use. At what point do you think Benicio has sold them out? Because like at this moment, is he helping them to specifically turn them in, or like do you think?
No, because in the scene where they realize he's turned them in, I mean, I see him as a very straightforward character. He does what he does, and that's it. And I think I can't remember what the line of dialogue is, but they're like, why would you do this or something like that? And he's like, well, we got caught. I made a deal, saved my ass.
Oh.
And I love the line where Finn says like, "You're wrong," and he just says, "Maybe." Yeah. Apparently, that was a suggestion from Benicio as well. Because Ryan said he had some really bad, cheesy line in there, and Benicio's like, "Why don't I just say maybe?" I mean, you can read into it that he was, intending to sell them out. He could always be lying, but the way his character's presented, he just seems like a very no bullshit kind of guy. Just, hey, I'm doing what I'm doing for me, and that's it. Like you said, kind of not the reverse of Han Solo, but a different version where he doesn't have the heart of gold,
Right.
He's just completely out for himself, and then that's what it is. Captain Phasma. The Boba Fett of the And for the record, I think she has had more to do than Boba Fett did in the original trilogy.
Right. I will say I prefer the deleted ending though. The deleted.
Yeah, that was really good, right? But I think it does slow things down. It's difficult to decide, when a film this long. And at that point,
I'll tell you what's confusing is everybody's around Rose and Finn. Then there's an explosion, and then there's like nobody's to be seen for yards, feet, miles, whatever.
But I do wish they kept in just him kind of outing her, because that was a cool beat. I like that.
Yeah, and everybody around was, yeah.
And this is a sweet scene too.
It is. Little tell don't show, but whatever.
Sure.
We go way back, remember? 9. Ninth. I mean, I prefer the prequels more here than I think of it in my life. Obi-Wan and Anakin are buddies. They are because they're going to tell us they are. Oh, okay, cool. This close-up I thought was really incredible by Serkis. Not much to it. And they don't even show it. The face he makes when he says, come closer. Wasted. Just
in general, I think he's such an incredible actor because you never really feel like, oh, this is an Andy Serkis thing. Like, I don't know what he does with his voice to make it sound different, but there's just, look at him in like the crazy South Africa and in the Marvel movies, and then Caesar in Planet of the Apes or Gollum, whatever. And here, there's just dude's got range. But yeah, I just see him as this kind of, Wizard of Oz character in a way.
Yep, arrogance, and gets paid off.
And also the touch that he's a bit more flamboyant as well, a bit theatrical with the golden robe. It's a bit more unexpected, but fits, I think Ryan Johnson said, like, yeah, I know people were thinking about Plagueis, but if at this point in the film, he went, by the way, I was once known as Darth Plagueis.
Right, exactly.
He said,
exactly.
Ray would be like,
who?
Yeah, okay, so next, it's no purpose.
Do you happen to know my parents? I love the fact that they keep going to these reaction shots to Kylo here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's so good.
I know. Like you could just see struggle. There's nothing going. It's all in his face.
Mm-hmm. And that's a fucking intense shot when she's upside down screaming. Or not upside down, but horizontal.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that was in the trailer, and I was like, "Fucking hell!" This is...
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the point where I was like, wait, we haven't got the fucking Walker battle yet.
Mm.
So this is where I was really getting amped up, because I'm like, how the hell is this throne room sequence going to end? Because I didn't see this coming. I didn't see what happens was going to happen.
Right.
And maybe that this scene is maybe a little on the nose of, yeah, she's more busy protecting the light than trying to be a hero. It's kind of really spelling it out to him, but that's what it is. It's the lesson he learns. And another thing I've seen is people say, well, he didn't learn anything by the end. It's like, yes, he did. At the end, on the assault on the walkers, he gets his crew to turn back, which is something he specifically didn't do at the beginning of the movie. Right. So he has an arc, right. And he saves lives by saying, okay, we can't win this one, let's go back.
Mm-hmm.
Hux is just so smarmy. Just
he slaps his face. It's like so
backhanded as well.
Mm-hmm.
Pistols at dawn. There's another thing I can criticize. I think she calls him a lying or murdering snake or something like that. And Ray says pretty much the same thing to Kylo. She's like, you murdering snake.
Mm.
So, that's okay. And then in the scene when Luke is speaking to Ray about the Jedi and how disillusioned he is with them, he's like, the Jedi is just, it's hubris and all this kind of stuff. And then like literally 20 seconds later, he's like, well, in my hubris, I thought, and I'm like, was Luke reading a dictionary that morning? Oh, hubris. I'll use that twice in the span of 10 seconds. Because for me, when I write with my book, like that's the one thing I always try and avoid is repeating the same specific phrases, just go through it. Okay, that's being used. But I don't know, I just like to space those things out.
Sure.
So that always kind of just irks me a little bit, Technically, yeah. Yeah, I remember they released the TV spot, didn't they? And it showed Ray with the Kylo's lightsaber, and we were both like, "What the fuck are they doing?" Like, this is third act stuff.
Yeah,
and I love how inconsequential it was.
Right. Ray yelping. I don't know if you have your subtitles on. Mine says Ray yelping, which got it in the head.
There's a lot of great descriptive subtitles on the new Twin Peaks series, like indecipherable whooshing. Stuff like that.
There it is.
Mm-hmm. Still that fiery spit of hope. I don't have the subtitles on, by the way.
Wow, that's incredible.
And this, again, the first time I saw it, I didn't know what was going to happen. I hadn't considered that they kill him because it was just, That's the way we've been trained, is that, you know, big bad. Got a trilogy. He's the final boss, surely. In the when they show just Andy Serkis, in that performance, there are tears just rippling down his cheeks. Like his eyes are open, so he's concentrating so much on it. Like, you're probably grown at this, but I was thinking at this point, wait, are they going to kill her? Like, I was so bought in. Like, I just
see. When he kept talking about, I see his mind. Like, this is where I was like, oh shit, he's doing the Vince talking shit about a guy who's about to do the heel turn.
Oh sure, yeah. I mean, once
that
starts, of course. But when he's got her dead to rights and she can't move, I was thinking, what are they doing? You know?
Yeah.
So I just love that my suspension of disbelief was there for that moment.
Yeah,
I just love the finger, and especially when he does the little, and pulls it out. The build up, the music, fucking top shelf.
The Praetorian Guard's like, wait, what?
Just his body just fucking just in case you were wondering, like, yep, that's a killing blow.
At this moment, I'm like, wait, now where are we going?
I think my favorite cinema experience ever was the third time I saw it on a Friday night, and in this scene, the room was just electric. Like, it wasn't like a cheering thing; it was just you could feel the fucking excitement. Packed room, like it just got hot. You know?
I think there was applause for that.
Yeah, it's such a great atmosphere.
Oh, I just watched Avengers, where it was very interactive. Maybe.
See, I was so wrapped up in the duel that I didn't even notice it. So it was only like I don't know, a few times later that I noticed he said that and really liked it. And this is just cool and different and. This is the part where we just watch the duel.
Right. Yeah, just in awe, just like duh.
Ah, fuck it. I want to turn the volume up a little bit and listen.
Yeah, if you would have told me when they showed that shot of him. Oh no, wait, no, I'm wrong. No.
What?
Don't worry. I was going to say, because they showed Kylo holding the lightsaber a certain way, and I thought that was the shot from the teaser, but it isn't. We get that shot.
Oh later on. Yeah. And just so that, you know, this is, you know, for the most part, close-up stuff where it is all them, you know. And this beat always got a really cool reaction. The little. And one thing I love about, like, you know, movie fights, movie duels is the staging of it, like where it takes place, you know. Like there's something so cool about like the walkway in Empire or whatever. Right. And here I just love how the red burns away and you know you see the outside of the observation room or whatever it is. It's just a great visual.
Time to let old things die. You getting this, audience? You getting this?
And maybe people don't like the fact that the villain of the whole trilogy is, you know, pleading with the hero with tears in his eyes, you know, to join him. This isn't Darth Vader. This isn't a cool villain. Well, there's cool elements to him, but
I've said it before. I'll say it 1,000 times from now. This is what they should have done with Anakin. Like exactly what he's going through. The torment, the torture. It's just if they had done it. I mean, granted, different storylines, but if they had just treated Anakin's character similar to this, I'd fucking
but it's a through line throughout all 9 movies. I mean, obviously the conflict is going to continue in the next one, but the Skywalker family is just over emotional. Anakin overly emotional, Luke overly emotional. It's but I think displayed the best here,
right? Which is saying something.
And like his voice is almost breaking when he's like, "Please," like.
Do you think that maybe that he knows that that she's stronger than him, and
but potentially, but I think I read somewhere that he sees her as an equal, which is something he's never seen before. Let's go into this briefly. Like, do you think there's a romantic tension there? Because that's the thing that's gone back and forth, depending on who you ask.
I think if there was, they would have paid it off more in this current moment where you could have had the rest of this movie be Rey confused and doing things for the wrong reasons, and then somehow somebody's got to win one of them back. Like we have this gray area type with both. There's no true hero for the second half of this movie. That'd be, I don't know.
I mean, if you want to talk about equals, that's it right there. It's right between them. But
both panting.
Romantic tension, you say?
that was the subtitle. Both panting.
I don't see it that way, and I think it it's more interesting if it isn't a love story. But I do think that there must be an attraction from his part, but more of a maybe just more of an intellectual attraction, and they both have lived a life where they haven't had any real connections with anyone. At least him following his turn to the dark side and stuff. Right. And he's going through this thing where he has all this power. So is she, and they can relate to each other. So there's this. That's why they're drawn to each other.
I love the Domhnall Gleeson, the panic in his eyes, firing that cruiser.
And this whole sequence, the way it's cut, and the music, the build up and the.
A lot of meanwhile back at the ranches here. Absolute silence.
Amazing. It's a great choice. Seems like an obvious one, but it just worked. And then, of course, you get the wow.
Yeah.
That's just like, breath caught moment.
Although to 9/11.
Yep. There's like that shot. There's a beauty to that, even though it's all this destruction.
Yeah, where'd everybody go?
Yeah, that's a good.
It was army.
Oh no, this is the side of the ship that went down a bit, so they all fell down.
Yeah, they all shuffled there because Finn and Rose were already on the ground. I guess that was
they all.
Where are they coming from? What? 2 feet away.
And all the stormtroopers fell down a hole like a bunch of lemmings. Just No, that is a great point, but up to a point, you just gotta
again,
just roll with it.
Bigger picture.
I'm not the biggest fan of this. I thought it was Benicio at first. I don't mind the idea of it, but it's just a little goofy visually, I like the idea of BB-8 coming in to help. He would do that, but just piloting a walker is just a. Oh no, I was wrong. There is another one-on-one staff fight.
No, yeah. Chrome.
Let's go Chrome.
Yeah. Okay.
I like the fight though, because there's obviously history between them.
Mm-hmm.
That apparently is expanded in one of the novels, which I'll never read.
There's too much. There's way too much.
Yeah, even as a hardcore fan, it's I like that it's out there. Don't get me wrong, but I just haven't got the time for it.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Then the smoke got me. I like that. Made his choice. All right, so, do you think she's dead or not? Because I would find it hilarious if she was back in the next, just to troll people. Because I mean, you know, at first, when I first saw her, I was like, oh, you know, obviously she fell out into space, but this is a ship that's like the size of a city, so presumably there's a lot of levels.
Yeah, yeah. Very good, corpsey looking.
Yeah.
I love Hawk's just like, wait, what the fuck?
This is a great beat as well, where he goes to get his blast.
What happened?
There's another bit that I don't understand. Maybe you can help me when it hasn't happened yet, but when Huck says the Supreme Leader is dead, and then Kylo turns around and goes, the Supreme Leader is dead. And I'm just like, yeah, that's the same fucking thing he said. Like, I don't get how that's different, even with the inflection you're using.
Because he's force choking, and he's like, yeah. You want to say that again? I guess he was implying that, you know,
yeah.
I'm look at me, I'm the captain now. Great shot.
Ah, so good. But I first thought that he killed him there. I thought that, you know, the cut to the planet was this kind of, you know, and then his neck snapped. So when we see him in a few minutes, I'm like, oh, okay. But that has to play into the next one, is that dynamic between the two of them.
Again, like I said, if you ask me what I'm really looking forward to, the bad guys. Give me more of Hux and more of Kylo. I want more of that, whatever the hell they're going through. Both of them, separately, together. Take your pick. Where's my droid?
You're not dead. I love that he kind of scratches them. When they came out for the Oscars, I think it was Oscar Isaac, Mark Hamill, and Kelly Tran. They had BB-8 on stage, and you just in the corner of the shot, you see him just give BB-8 a little tickle.
Just want to say, there's a bunch of people playing Battleship right now.
The radar has been jammed.
Raspberry. Only one
star. It's a battering ram cannon. I like the idea that it's Death Star tech. They're like, okay, well, we'll just take like the laser part of it and rebuild that. All I want is a freaking laser.
Sharks with freaking laser beams attached to their heads.
And this is where Finn's arc is, where he's like, no, we're going to fight. And he's made his choice now. Because that's the thing. In the first film, it's just, I'm leaving the First Order. That's it.
Even in the beginning of this movie, too, where he's trying to fail.
Well, that's the thing. Because I think people maybe think that he's part of the Resistance. But the Force Awakens, all he wants to do is save Rey. Because he's, formed quite a liking to her. So he still hasn't really made a choice to fight the good fight yet. Salt. Many memes were born from that scene.
Oh, really? I've seen none.
Well, just the negative reaction, and then just the shot of him going salt.
Oh, that's awesome.
And again, look at Finn, like he's almost crashing this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Put the thing down, you fucking idiot!" And people are like, "Oh, how come Finn knew how to fly a speeder?" He's almost crashing the thing, and all he's doing is driving in a straight fucking line as well. Like he's pulling off any incredible maneuvers.
His foot goes through the bottom.
I like that. Again, like underdog stories are fun to me, and this is like the very last dregs of good guys in next to nothing.
I wonder how much work was done to set up the salt, the red angle, because it really, I mean, it maybe not here so much, but towards the end, it really, it gives off this big war, the symbolism, what happens with war, like.
Yeah, it's the bloodshed and the way I kind of looked at it was as well as the blood family.
Mm-hmm.
Whole thing is this fucked up family. It's a soap opera, really. It's just those damn Skywalkers.
Again, say it as much as you want. You don't like the story, whatever, but it's a fantastically made movie.
Yeah,
fantastically.
This sequence is incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really.
That fucking shot right there when oh.
Yeah, no, I need the music right now too, because once the Falcon comes in, that whole stretch, it's just like, oh, this is awesome.
That was awesome.
Oh no. Bootleg Millennium Falcon.
And I love how we see the Falcon's silhouette first, and the shadow coming over.
Porg growls.
Yeah, and all the like this whole the theme for this battle is like a medley,
Mm-hmm.
Like we start with Kylo's theme and like them approaching, and then we get a bit of Rose's theme as she's holding onto a medallion thing, and then the Falcon theme, and then Rey's theme, and then they fly through the caves, and it's the Death Star escape music. I just love it.
The petulance, blow that piece of junk out of the sky. Just fuck yeah, man.
Yeah. Oh, and then the Resistance theme as well. I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just this whole scene, just a great combination of shit.
Dun dun dun.
So good.
Dun, dun, dun. Fucking, I need the sound.
I know.
How can you absolutely hate on this movie? Like I can genuinely get like, all right, there's parts that you don't like, but like absolutely hate it. Like get the fuck out of here.
Like just this coupled with the music was just so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
This is the one scene I wanted to be great in the 4DX as well. Like I was like, don't fuck it up. And it was great. The seats moving with it and stuff. Oh.
Yeah. Yep. If you're a Star Wars kid, it's cinematic masturbation as far as I'm concerned. It's just it's all there.
Another thing I didn't notice until many viewings in is that there are actually the walkers from Empire as well, like the smaller ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that at all.
Yeah, you just focused on the gorilla ones, but
Gorilla ones.
well, they got the little knuckles.
Yeah,
yeah. That's the thing. Like, was it the ATST? I just call them chicken walkers.
Mhm.
Too late. There's too many of them.
See, like, this would be a nice ending for Finn.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. People are saying he should have died. For me, I can't not come across as someone who's really defending this film hard, but for me, I bought this when I first saw it. I thought the way they set it up, the way the music plays in, But the fact that he doesn't die doesn't take anything away from it because he was fully committed to doing it. It is a moment where it's like you can have your cake and eat it, where it feels like a cheat, but he fully commits. Like, it's not him pulling off for the last second.
Right.
He is ready to die for it because he's made his choice. And that to me is powerful enough to, to not make it a problem for me anyway.
Oh, the interference,
right, that's another element to it, which I like. And again, people are like, well, her logic is wrong because the thing fires on the base. How are you saving people if you're But she kind of has fallen in love with him, and whether you like that or not, whether you think that's cheesy or not, people in love do stupid shit. It's just the way it is.
Good call.
She's not doing the right thing. She's being selfish. It's coming from a good place, but she ultimately kind of fucks up there. But that's what people do when they
Rose, why did you do that? Like, ripped line from Titanic. You're so stupid, Rose.
But I liked it. I think it's sweet. I do think that the romance element between the two feels undercooked, but I think that it's more of a thing that she is kind of taking a shine to him more than he has her.
No more shines. Time.
But I remember thinking about that, like, does this little thing work? And it just before this, when Finn is saying to everyone, "No, let's stay and fight, and give us some time." There's a shot of her looking at him, kind of admiringly, like surprised that he's making a stand and kind of taking charge and stuff. So that was kind of, I guess, where they're trying to get the idea across. But it is a cheesy line. I understand people who kind of balk at it. It's fair enough, I think.
Dope. A New Hope.
This is, I think, become maybe my favorite piece of music from here onwards. To Luke stepping out.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
There you go.
It took me quite a few viewings. What was this fourth? Where I see this and say, oh wait, his hair is definitely. Did he get a haircut before he?
Yep. My first thing when I saw this, I was like, oh really? He had time to trim his hair and dye his beard.
Yeah.
I felt like it was such a weird thing to do, and I was kind of a little bit mad about it.
Mm-hmm.
But this would have been what he looked like to them before.
Right.
It's just a great scene, it's playful, that was Carrie's line, I changed my hair or whatever. And she really liked getting her little jokes into the film. But it's pretty fucking like, I know my son's gone or whatever she says, you know. It's fucking heavy.
It says no one's ever really gone, and then
Right. Like, I think Mark Hamill says he can't really fully watch this scene.
Yeah. Well, now especially, yeah, Jesus.
Now that look when he puts the dice in her hand and she looks at him like, oh, like that's when she knows that he's not there, because she can feel the dice aren't there. You know? So I guess that kiss was more symbolic than actual, you know. I like that little Luke 3PO moment.
We had a sugar?
No.
Oh. Yes.
And I love that, how that's all of his kids watching their dad, aka Luke, you know, walk out. It's kind of cool. Fun. I don't think they ever tried it before. and these fucking shots, there's about 5 or 6 just amazing shots of Luke just walking out. You know?
This shot right here with just a bloodbath, but it's not, because
exactly. It's such a great idea. I'm just playing the music in my head because I'm so familiar with it, you know.
Every gun we have to fire on that, man. Just the gluttony of it all. It's just
So what did you think with this when it first happened and they shot him down? Because that little thing there where you just see like almost kind of
red mist,
but also like chunks, you know.
Yeah.
So for a split second I thought, oh my god, but then I thought, nah, I can't. And just the way that, you know, it doesn't stop on it and it keeps going, so it's like, okay, so he's not really dead. But I still was buying that he just deflected them or just protected himself.
Right.
It wasn't something clearly he's just a projection.
It's too excessive. It's just too excessive. Or like there's no real. I mean, it's Luke. They would have it would be a bit more dramatic than what we're given here. It's just like, wait, what? Do you think you got him? Great line.
Like he's like in the previous shot, he's like almost foaming at the mouth. There's a bit of like, dribble on his lip. But I also love that, you know, we were seeing all this conflict in Kylo, and you know, in the first one, the 7th one, he's like, I feel the pull to the light, and what do you think of this beat with the little shrug?
That was awesome. I was marking out.
So good. Yeah, he's like, I feel the pull to the light and stuff, and he's conflicted and whatever. And his connection with Rey, I think, kind of really softens him and kind of breaks down some barriers. But the fact that she rejects him, and now he's in full-on fucking rage mode again, you know?
Hawks just referred him as Supreme Leader, too.
Yeah.
So, Supreme Leader's dead. Guess we moved on from that.
Yeah, it's entertaining to see full-on, you know, shoot that piece of junk out of the sky, Kylo Ren. Just it's out of a Western, which by extension is out of a samurai movie, you know. Just the staging of it.
No.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, well then, I guess I'll decape. I love that he always steps into.
Yeah.
He always steps into triggering his lightsaber.
It's just this like aggressive button to it. Like here, I was just like, this is, you know, you're just in heaven at this point. Like, holy shit. And what's your take on the, you know, the fact that he wasn't there, you know?
They established it throughout the movie that there's you know, again, I'm willing to accept it. You want to tell me new stuff about the Force? I'll take it. Just you know, just Just don't midi-chlorians me.
Yeah, there's little things that, you know, like when Rey and Kylo have the first connection, he's like, you can't be doing this. The effort alone would kill you.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I do think that it didn't kill him. He let himself go at the end. That's the way I interpret it. But you know, a lot of people saying, oh, you know, he should have just ripped everyone out of the sky and, you know, like just blown everyone up and deflected all the bolts and killed them all. Yeah. It's like, well, then there's no ninth movie. You know, if you have Luke as this all-powerful Jedi who can take down a whole army, then there's nothing that needs to happen in the ninth movie that's interesting or has any dramatic weight because,
right.
You know, and I'll argue this. I think that what Luke does is the most Jedi thing we've seen yet. The whole point is to be, you know, like Yoda says, a Jedi uses his strength for knowledge and defense, never for attack. That's the idea.
And it's Obi-Wan from 4 on a grander scale,
much grander scale, because he's well, I guess, you know, in saving Luke, he kind of saves the hope of the galaxy too. But
right,
you know, here Luke doesn't just save the Resistance; he reclaims the mantle of the legend of being Luke Skywalker that he previously cast aside. Because that's what you see in the end with the kids. They're inspired by, holy shit, Luke Skywalker just came back, and you know, he's actually real, and you know, it wasn't just a story, and you know, whatever. Because no one else knows that he, you know, really. Well, I guess the First Order would have seen him disappear, but regardless, you know,
all these little rocks to get to a Rey area. Yeah, and that was the first hint. When they show his foot, I was like, oh, wait a minute. When they show Luke's foot and it doesn't drag, I was like, oh, wait, he's not pulling up any of the... Yeah, there it was.
Yeah, I didn't catch that at all.
And I was like,
you know, the first time. Apparently, like no snow falls on him either. Like no bits of dirt or anything.
Oh.
And even with Foley and stuff, they made sure to have no footsteps or, you know, just to play it as fair as possible.
Well, thank God Mick Foley was in this.
Terrible editing.
Last Jedi.
Yeah, he said it. He said it. Man, the way they cut him back to the other characters here, like, oh, that's bad editing, man. Just, you know.
Yeah.
I love that close up of him. That's great.
And then Rey literally moving rocks. Just hysterical.
I mean, that cut from the close up of him to Rey is like almost exact the way their faces are framed. It's there's something at the end. I don't know. You right?
Yeah, no. Neighbors downstairs. Oh, of course, Star Wars is going to be about a chick and a black guy now. I want nothing to do with it.
Social justice warrior bullshit. Man, they want to do good stuff. Wow.
White guys or fish people, nothing else.
Should have been Akbar, not that purple head bitch. Oh, that alien who said it's a trap that one time. Okay.
Yeah, right. Why couldn't it be IG-88? Like, what?
I love how when this happens and he slices through him, his foot drags on that, and just by the visual of red streaking across the floor, at first glance I thought, fuck, they did it, you know.
And then this right here,
and again, this is another kind of almost a, you know, have your cake and eat it kind of moment where, you know, Kylo was going to kill him. You know, he put every effort into that strike. I love it. I love the reveal, and it's a tragic one too, because then, you know, he never left. You know, and he was resigned to the same fate as Yoda in that sense. Although he achieved more in his death, but you know.
So they obviously they tell the story about how the mystique of Luke Skywalker is what we see it briefly from, you know, the future of the rebellion. Do you think maybe they'll touch on the fact that Kylo couldn't defeat Luke on the First Order side, like people that are there?
Well, I hope so. But that's another thing that I thought was so great, was that, you know, he gave the Resistance a chance to leave by stalling, and so on. He got inside Kylo's head, which is obviously going to just continue to stoke that conflict. He brought hope back to the galaxy and reclaiming that legend of his, and also humiliated Kylo in front of everyone.
Right.
Hadn't been for Kylo's arrogance of, I'm going to face him alone and no one else do anything, then they would have, you know, achieved their goal. And that's going to have Hux on his bad side as well. And this is just, you know,
filmmaking.
Again, yeah, Rey looking off, and then we cut, and it's almost the same kind of framing. It just feels like that it's still hinting at some connection between them. But that shot of him looking to the twin sons, that's just about my favorite thing ever, I think. I mean,
beautiful ending. Beautiful way to end that character. Just like, what the...
Yeah, I know, right? Like, it just... But I just love the visual symbolism of that. And it kind of disappointed me to read in like one of the...
Before you go any further, homage to episode 3 here.
Absolutely is, yeah. That's great. I like that. I like that it's informed by all 6 of the films, not just the originals, you know. There you go. There's Hux giving him that look. But where was I going? Right. Sorry. No, it's right. Yeah. So I read in the visual dictionary that the planet with the island has a binary star system, and I was like, oh, so it really has 2 suns. I just love the idea of that just being what Luke was looking at and imagining, you know, like full circle. Like, I've done what I've done. Not everything went to plan, but just looking out to that horizon one more time. I mean, look, this is where we leave Kylo on his knees, just... All right, we're at the end already.
Yeah, this is what, 2.5? It doesn't.
Yeah,
doesn't really feel it, if I'm being honest.
And don't get me started on the whole, they met before in the Force. They were in the same room. You see it in the Force Awakens.
Jesus.
Yeah, have you ever not been in a situation where there's like about 100 people and you haven't been formally introduced to every single one of them after millions of people have just died? I don't know. It's I mean, Leia's been through the fucking ringer.
Fucking A, man.
Christ. And that's just a sad part of it. I just think there would have been so much to do with her in the next one.
Yeah, you know what? George Lucas said that the 1 through 6 is about the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker. You think about 4 through 8, the tragedy of Leia fucking losing her planet as we start, and then her husband, her kid goes bonkers, her brother, like, Jesus.
And I love this. It's so unexpected. If you told me before the movie it's going to end on characters, you know, that we haven't seen before and we'll never see again, I'd be like, that's bullshit. It should end with the main characters. But it's showing you that what he did worked. And that maybe a kid who has a little bit of Force sensitivity will think, hey, maybe I can do something. Maybe I can join the fight, you know. My question is, how far in advance is this? Because out of that story pass... Well, it would have to be fairly recent, I suppose, because they literally are saying, hey, here's where Luke was when the walkers were, you know. I'd imagine it's fairly recently afterwards.
I could feel the bass in my ass. The people downstairs are
I can hear it. Yeah,
they're listening to "Don't Cry" by Guns N' Roses. Watch this get acclaim for the fucking song.
Alexa, play.
Yeah.
Nothing. Play nothing.
Here's a station you might like.
No.
No,
Alexa, stop.
no, demonetize. So that's episode 8.
Yeah.
I mean, other than your gripes, did you think it was okay?
No, I loved it. If you couldn't already tell.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very like it's strange for me to say this. It's all because what they show with the kids and how what Luke did worked. The Rey, whatever happens with Rey seems. I'm kind of contradicting what I said before, but what happens with her seems so inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. But to flip that, I really need to see what happens with Kylo. I need to know where it's going with him.
Yeah. I think that they'll probably, hopefully, pick it up a couple of years after the fact. And what I am hoping will be the case is that Leia has passed away, but there has been, as far as the story is concerned, a period where she mentored Rey a little bit, as in a different way, than Luke had. And obviously she had those books, the Jedi texts, and Luke saying, "I won't be the last Jedi." So there's that to it. And she'll obviously be the figurehead of, and I like that. I like how it's exciting to me that we don't, don't want to say that, but we don't have Luke, we don't have Han, we're not going to have, Leia or Carrie Fisher, but this really is now, okay, it's the new characters' time to step up and claim their own movie.
Are we really
to finish their own story?
Are we really not going to have Luke though? I mean,
of course we are. No, they would, if they didn't have Luke, I think that would be a real problem. I'd almost get as rabid as some of the fans have gotten for this film, if only for the fact that he says, "See you around, kid." And I think that there's a real interesting way to go with that, where it's not just a Force ghost coming to the hero going, "Yeah, here's some information you might not have known before," but having a Force ghost kind of, haunting Kylo in a way, or, stoking that conflict, kind of moving his stuff around at night and bugging.
Where'd I put my keys? Damn you, Luke. Yeah, or even to do the Empire thing and have him train Rey. I would be shocked I'd really be shocked if we were done seeing Mark Hamill.
Yeah, it's even if he hates it now and he's it's ruined his life because he hates it so much. They'll write him a check and he'll come back. But I don't know how big. I mean, it really could be a one scene thing. It could be like Yoda, but I think it would be interesting to explore that a little bit further.
To go behind the scenes a bit, didn't Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher sign 3-picture deals?
Probably. I'd imagine that almost is just, housekeeping, just in case. Haven't they signed the new Han Solo guide to 3 films?
They
did that with the Rogue One cast as well,
Fair point, because I remember infamously Christian Bale signed a 3-picture deal for Terminator, and
all right.
Yeah.
And I just think that it would be leaving good story potential on the table. And wouldn't make sense. Again, like I just said, I hadn't really thought about this, but watching it completely silently towards the end, like super close up on Luke, cuts to Rey, and it's pretty much the exact framing. Not that it really means anything, but I feel like
they do a lot of that in this movie too.
Yeah, but I think that I don't know.
Fucking match cuts, man. Editing's dog shit.
There's stuff to be explored there, so I think But yeah, and it's exciting just to have Kylo be the top dog, the big bad. There's no final boss above him. That's something that That's something that Darth Vader had never had, right? Vader was never the top. He was always under the Emperor. Even though from the perspective of the movies, he's the lead villain, but he was always, as far as the story is concerned, underneath the Emperor.
Well, yeah, and he always kind of like, there was always a underlying thing of like, what's his face in episode 4 when he's talking about that ancient religion, and like he even gets talked down to by his underlings. So yeah, it's
he's quite subservient to the Emperor in Jedi, where it's almost like he's saying to Luke, like, well, the Emperor says so,
yeah,
because I say so. And, You'd never get this far, don't worry about it. Yeah, I think it's exciting, and I love killing him, Snoke off in the middle. Well, literally. It's exciting story potential, and yeah, I was gonna say, when I was gonna watch this and I was looking forward to it, my prediction was that I'd feel kind of gutted afterwards. I felt like it would end like Empire, where it's like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? Like it leaves you on this kind of almost cliffhanger, but it didn't, and I liked that. It has an ending, and I mean, you could almost say, that's the way it ends and whatever, and but I think there's unresolved stuff with Kylo, but I just like that it isn't really the cliffhanger I thought it would be, and that it ends on hope more than despair, even though it's the second in a 3-part story.
So let me propose an idea, or I don't know, it's a what if, or I don't know. We keep getting new elements of the galaxy and like I said, the lore of the Force introduced to us. What if we have our first Sith ghost in episode 9?
Well, who would you cast in that role? Because it can't be Anakin.
Well, what if it's Snoke?
Sure, but then I know I kind of associate that with a feeling of peace. If you look in the spiritual side of it, and if we go by the prequels, your old friend has learnt a way to kind of connect beyond or whatever. So perhaps it isn't something that you have to prepare for just as you're about to die. You can do it afterwards, but I wouldn't be up in arms about it for sure, because it would be interesting story potential.
To us.
Sure. You can't do that. Yeah, no, I think it feels like more of a good guy thing. But hey, if you really want to break it down, you can be like, where was Anakin? Like, just leaves his son to fuck up everything, and just I'll leave it.
Oh, good point.
You know
That's a brilliant point. Yeah, watches him by the trees, and
yeah. And he's like, oh man, he's making the same mistakes. Oh man, this is great.
Silly kids. That would be.
But then I think that it gets overcrowded then, because it's just one of those things. Yeah, they were all there at the end of Jedi, but if we had this film and Obi-Wan's there and Anakin's there, you say, it gets a bit too cluttered,
Well, so. what if they get Hayden Christensen back?
I would fucking hate it.
Really?
To me, the ending of Jedi is the old man. It just makes sense to me. He's the way he was when he died.
All right, so with a caveat, it's Hayden Christensen, but with some sort of makeup that you can kind of, get a little bit of both.
I don't know, because then if you're gonna go to one line of continuity, you have to stay with that one. So he would just look like he did in episode 3. It would be weird for the Force Ghost to age or change. I don't know.
Well, it depends on what version of Jedi you want to use as.
Oh, of course, no. If you're going by canon, then he would look like Hayden Christensen. That's just the way it is. But I personally wouldn't like it. That's all. Because
I think it would be neat if somehow I don't know. I'm just what ifing at this point. But
I can't be doing with that version of Jedi. You know, that was my favorite as a kid, Return of the Jedi, and seeing Vader no at the end, and then seeing, I mean, even the way Christensen is acting, like he's got this kind of creepy smile, you know, it's just like, what are you, I don't like it. It's just
it is strange. It is like,
I grew up with the old man, you know.
Why would Luke recognize him? Like,
exactly.
I just saved my dad, and this old man's creepy looking at me, and he's with Obi-Wan, so I guess he's cool.
Yeah.
yeah. Young Anakin, old Obi-Wan. You re-put Ewan McGregor in there if you're gonna just fucking do it all. Fuck it.
I mean, you know, at least have fun with it and just have, you know, close up of Hayden going, "Who's got the high ground now, motherfucker?"
Another happy landing.
Or like he just comes in and Obi-Wan's like, "Oh, hello there."
So you talked about it before. Where the credits are long over now.
Oh yeah.
The use of Obi-Wan in Rey's vision.
Yeah.
Since JJ is coming back,
mm-hmm.
do you think he's going to pay some of that, like the Knights of Ren stuff? That was like that rainy thing. Is that supposed to be what we saw here? Like, there's a couple of things in her vision where it's just like, all right, are we going to see any of that, or why is it Obi-Wan? What, like?
I mean, she touches that Skywalker saber that's calling to her for whatever reason, and she sees, you know, visions of Luke and Vader, you know, like the history of this thing. But then she sees like her own past and stuff. I don't know, but just Obi-Wan calling out Rey, not like, you know, it sounds like he previously knew her, which again, I'm so micro-analyzing, but Rey, like, oh, you know, how would he know this random, you know, unless Obi-Wan's sitting there just like, you know, meditating and learning all of the names of every single person in the entire fucking galaxy, which is just, you know.
What are we up to? We're up to K now. Okay. Christoph. Ken?
Bit of a gambler, Canto bites for some reason. Small world. Yeah, I don't know. So that's just, but then it seems like that was something they just threw in there, like, oh, just have like a little bit of a, because you could kind of argue a way of, oh, she's seeing Luke and Vader because this is the history of this thing she's touching, and then it morphs with her own history. But to have him call to her was, yeah, I don't know. To me, in my head, I was thinking like, oh, well, maybe, you know, when she was a kid and she was Luke's daughter, you know, she, you know, knew Obi-Wan or something. I don't know. Just, I do feel like there's something lost between the two films in that sense. But I don't know. It might be uneven if JJ then goes back on stuff, but you know,
it is strange that they didn't really have a bit of a I don't know, vision for the three. They just kind of spitballed and said, all right, here's one, your turn.
Yeah, and unless they're just being completely, you know, coy about it, you know, because the way Rian Johnson keeps saying is like, well, it's just like a, you know, like a relay race. Just handed the baton to me and said, do whatever you want with it. There was nothing. I had no restrictions, you know. Really?
Yeah, from what I've heard about Disney in the last 5 years, I find that really hard to believe. Especially considering what they've done to Trevorrow, whatever the fuck.
But then again, you know, it's Lucasfilm as well. But I just don't know. I find it interesting. I'd love to know everything, just to, not just like what's going to happen, but the process of putting these first two together. I don't know. But JJ coming back certainly makes things interesting as far as, you know, is he going to go back to the stuff he was setting up in 7 that might not have been previously returned to?
So this is probably the last time, if you're watching this in the future, we're about 3 weeks away from Solo being released. This is probably I don't know, maybe the last, maybe it's one of it, if not the last time that we're going to speak internetically about this prior to the release. But
yeah,
how are you feeling leading in with all the shit that's out as far as trailers and TV spots and marketing is concerned. How are you feeling about Solo? Meh.
No, not meh.
Mm.
Just it's a film that has Star Wars in the title. I'm excited for that. But as far as the promotional stuff, I haven't really watched it actually. And not in like, oh, I want to abstain from it. I just, I'll see it when I see it. I'm skeptical. Not really a film I ever wanted to see. Don't think they should be playing around with a character that iconic when the age gap is as short as it is. I think with like was it Last Crusade when they did the young Indy sequence at the beginning? We had River Phoenix playing Indiana Jones. I think you get away with that because he's like a teenager, young teen. In this movie, the Solo, he's like what, 20s? New Hope, he's 30s. It's too close. But I mean, they're splitting hairs in a personal preference.
Well, they had Anthony Gruber, who played young Harrison Ford in Age of Adeline, is a fucking dead ringer, and apparently they were giving lessons to this dude on set. So
we'll see. Well, from what I've seen in the trailers, which isn't really much to judge on as far as judging a performance. I mean, you can judge a look of a film from a trailer, like how they're putting that together, but it didn't really feel that Han-like to me. But I don't know what you do. Do you do a full-on impression? Then it just feels weird. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what. When I see Donald Glover, I think, yep, there's Lando.
That feels more of a natural fit to me.
And I don't think we've heard him speak. I think it's just a like the way he's carrying himself. It's just like there he is.
I don't mind it, I'd be more up in arms if it was like a young Luke movie, and which wouldn't really be anything anyway, just moisture evaporators and not going anywhere.
Tashi Station.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's not something I'm overly excited about. I was saying on my Battlefront stream earlier, I'm more interested in how it does with the fan community and how it does monetarily than I think I am, how I enjoy the film. I'm just intrigued to see if it'll, not make as much as they want and think, okay, maybe we shouldn't, play around with stuff like this.
Right, because it's something that you're well aware of that I quite am interested in the financial aspect and, and how things do. If Jumanji could derail a straight Star Wars movie, these are side stories. The neighborhood that Solo's being released in, Deadpool 2.
Yep.
I think something big comes out the week after. It's regardless of how it does, it's not going to be long for this world, because Jurassic World, good, bad, or indifferent, it's just going to make a ton of money because it's dinosaurs.
Yeah,
kids will go see that. Like,
I think that Disney are probably really worried because The Last Jedi, it just didn't do that well. Over $1 billion worldwide, it struggled. It really struggled. You look at Empire, that made so much more money than Star Wars. Oh wait, no, it was quite a drop off. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what Disney's going to do, because their latest release, like they are shitting the bed. They don't know what the fuck they're going to do. Like, it only just hit $1 billion today after 10 days, and that's the fastest ever. And it should have been faster, but yeah, Disney
should have been faster, more intense.
Yeah.
I liked the cute little, Rey handing the lightsaber to Iron Man, like congratulations or whatever, which is from Lucasfilm, a separate studio to so-and-so, although they're all owned by Disney. And I thought that's kind of cool. And then everyone's like, oh, it's just Disney handing money to itself. This is such a fuck off. The Disney conspiracy continues. But yeah, Solo, I'm excited for Chewbacca stuff. I like Chewbacca, and it's a character you can't really do wrong, at least as far as this new guy who I think is doing a good job. which might seem to some people like, well, you just get a big guy in a suit, but you need to have the mannerisms and stuff and physically perform. Well, I think he's done a good job.
All right. Well, I certainly need to use the facilities. I don't know about you, but
yeah. Well, I just have like a bag underneath the table. It's just slowly filling up consistently throughout the past 3 hours.
A bag. I just want to say that your backdrop has been quite fitting to the film in question, with all the white and red.
I was gonna just have all the red curtain. Just I'll be in the red room from Twin Peaks.
Yeah, another Twin Peaks reference. Jesus. Yeah. So any last words, Luke?
It is happening again. No, not really. I think we covered quite a bit. The scary thing is I could probably talk about more, but yeah, love the film. It's my second favorite Star Wars film. I'd put it in the top, the top few as far as how good it is, and yeah, one of my favorite films in my top 5. I think it's when it keeps holding up this much under this amount of viewings. I don't know what I can say. And again, it was interesting watching it without the sound and still just enjoying it visually. And I don't know. Yeah.
So to kind of piggyback what you're saying, the original trilogy, I really, really like 2 of 3. Return of the Jedi is okay to me. It's not incredible. The prequel trilogy, I really like 1 of the 3. And so far here, I like 2 of the 3. So if they putter out, it's okay for me. But
yeah,
at this stage, I'm curious to see if episode 9 is something I don't like, and then the fans get won back over. I'll sort of be pissed, like, you assholes ruined it for me.
Well, I think it's a genuinely fantastic film. But it's hard to ignore that it is that the buildup of 20 years for me as being a fan and seeing my favorite characters back on the screen again. But I love the new stuff too, and I like how it all integrates and works together.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's tough because this film has gotten so much hate, and we talked about that a lot. But when I say I love it completely and how great I think it is, it feels like I'm just saying it to be contrary, Right. Oh, well, they hate it, so I'm gonna love it. No, it's just the way it is. I mean, you look at my reaction video when it first came out, and there was no real kind of backlash at that point. It wasn't like a certain person we might know who didn't like it as much the first time, and then maybe came out with guys, it's a masterpiece. I've stuck to my guns, and I've tried to have an open mind in repeat viewings. Okay, let's see if it is as bad as people say, and it ain't.
Have you watched the video yet of the weird nerd dude riffing on your reaction, your first view?
You probably won't believe it, but I haven't. I got a link to it. I clicked on it. I saw that he was reacting to my thing and read the comments and that they were negative. I skimmed about halfway through, and it was the point where I said, yeah, to me it was perfect. And he's like, it's perfect. What's wrong with you? And then I just went, I'm not interested. I got no interest in watching someone for an extended period kind of shit on my opinion of something I enjoyed,
Yeah,
Call me, crazy.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay. Carry on.
Yeah, no, it's and a lot of his points, it's just like, it's like you said, it's not picking apart things that are wrong. He's just picking you apart for liking it. It's really, really strange.
Yeah, I had a few messages like, react to this. What do you want me to say? It doesn't change anything.
Maybe I'll do it in your behalf. Fuck it.
Go for it.
Because I remember, and then the audio cuts out. It's just like, dude, did you even check the video before you put it up? Because yeah, he's got quite a series of videos. And then there's, I think it was you that sent it to me, this girl who keeps fixing her hair.
Oh yeah.
And then I commented, I was like, define irony. Somebody talking about Disney with 2 Thor posters in the background. And then she goes, she defended herself in some way. And she was like, it's satire. I was just like, oh, okay. Oh, well, that's quite a character you've got built there. I think I said, oh, cool. I'll go look up satire now.
Yeah, I flirt with it, you know. It's almost like kind of like I like to punish myself. I'll click on these things like, well, 20 reasons why it's the Last Jedi is objectively a bad movie. And again, it's stuff like, why didn't they refuel the ships before they left? Because as it says in the movie, they were in a rush because the people had turned up to kill them. If you only watch the film.
I tell you, it's stuff like everything wrong with, or what am I getting it right?
Cinema sins, yeah.
Cinema sins. It's that mentality where like there's this mob mentality on the internet, at least, where it's just like, oh, it's cool to pick on shit, and it like, yeah, all right, but you gotta know what you're talking. You have to have a platform to stand on. Like you just like,
yeah. But then it bothers me because they'll put it across in such a well-spoken way that it seems like they hold so much water, and you'll have just thousands of comments like, "Oh, you've really nailed it there," you know. And maybe there's some frustration on my part because I've seen the film so many fucking times that I know it inside and out by this point. And so some people who've seen it once and gone, don't like that, and here's why, and they kind of forget the details that really break apart their points. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna. Well, no, don't worry. I'm gonna wrap this up because I need to go. Luke,
okay.
And I think we're both gonna have this, right? So.
Yeah.
So.
Doubly posted.
Keep this. Yeah. Enjoy our shit and go click on stuff.
Yeah. Go listen to our Rogue One commentary and maybe we'll do another one.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe we should. All right, yeah, do that, and we'll talk about this later.
Yeah.
Say goodbye, Luke.
We've talked for long enough. Goodbye, Luke.